Okay, I had some requests for my dough recipe, mostly from Patchogue, Long Island. Anyway, I'm going to show you step by step how I do it. Right now I brought the water up to 110 degrees. Now some people say it's a little, use it a little cooler, but I like it 110 because by the time you're transferring it from here to a glass measuring cup, it'll lose some degrees, and that could be the difference between the I have found that could be the difference from the yeast activating. So it's 1 3/4 cups, and for people in Staten Island, that's 1 cup 6 ounces. So we get it up to the 6 ounce pot, and right there. Okay. Into the KitchenAid. Now we have 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, which is basically a packet. If I can get the teaspoon, I thought I had this out. Okay, so 2 1/4 teaspoons. Drop that in, and 1/4. Where was that? Here we go. Here's 1/4. And you can see the yeast starting to activate. Now I don't touch the yeast. Some people mix it around. I leave it be, because it's going to foam. It will definitely foam. And what I do is I take a little sugar, because yeast loves sugar, and I drop it in. Everybody does it different. This is just the way I have perfected it, if you can call it that. And I'm just, this takes about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to stop it now, and then when it's nice and foamy, we'll drop the flour in. Okay. All right. Our yeast is done. It's nice and foamy. And now I have 2 cups of flour. I'm going to raise this. But beside the 2 cups of flour, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of oil and 2 teaspoons of salt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it in the dry mix, the salt anyway, first, and mix that up. And then I'll add the 2 tablespoons of oil later. All right, so we're just going to start this. And get that going. Now, it's calls for 4 cups, so I'm going to add the other 2 cups one at a time. But we're going to get this going. Okay. So we're going to make it like a, until it's fully dissolved, but we're going to run it to like it's a little bit of a sludge, and then we're going to add the other 2 cups one at a time. So I'll wait till this gets where it needs to be, and then I'll put it back on. I have the KitchenAid, if you have one, on 2. I'm not going to beat it out right now. I'm just going to slowly work it in. So, okay. Before I go any further, I want to show you what you wind up with. These I made a couple of days ago, and I had them in the refrigerator, so they may not look, you know, like fresh out of the oven, because they're not. But what happens is you wind up with this light little dough. Too bad the cheese came over in the middle. Very fluffy, light, and the bottom is a nice golden brown. I mean, you can make it as dark as you want, but I like it right here because you're not going to eat the whole thing, and you're going to be reheating it. This way, if it's too dark, you're just going to keep, you know, killing that bottom. but this is the color and the texture that I prefer. And to reheat it, I just sprinkle a little water slightly on top at a 180-degree oven, and that'll bring it back to life. That's what we used to do in the pizzeria anyway. And this is the end result. Like I said, too bad. Well, this may have a better shot at it. Well, there you go. See, it's light. It's nice and light the way we do it. But anyway, let me put that there. So here's where we're at. We had added the 2 cups. I'm going to add another cup, but I'm going to do it 1 cup at a time because I don't want to throw it all in there, because then it fights it really. And I'm putting it back on 2. Sorry. Yeah. And what I do is I just wait for whatever I put in to get sort of covered, not all the way, but get it incorporated. Anyway, I'll wait till this gets done, and then I'll put it back on when I'm ready to add the 4th. Alright, I just added the 4th cup, and this is where I like to add the oil. Some people do it before, but I like to add it now because I think the mix needs a little moisture to it. So this is where I'll put it in. You know, you may need to add a little water. You know, I like the consistency of sort of like peanut butter, what I call. But you'll see it as it goes on. I'll show you the consistency that I get from it before I put it in the refrigerator to rise. Okay. Alright, I'm done. As far as that, I like the consistency I like is where it starts worming its way up. Where it starts going up the worm, and then I know it's ready. Now this is, don't understand, this is a little bit of a sticky dough, so it's not your usual consistency, so it may not be to some people's liking. But what I do is I oil tin, a little piece of plastic wrap I find is the best thing. It doesn't stick to anything, and it makes the spreading a lot easier. And you don't have to clean anything out, you just throw it out. As long as you don't get it on the dishwasher. Anyway, so I'm going to take this out. Like I said, this is a little bit sticky, but it's okay. It'll all work out in the end when it finally does its thing and rises. So we're just going to plop it. There we go. And whatever's behind. So, and there's no need to flip it. You could if you want. I mean, there's, in my estimation, if you cover it properly, because when you put this in the pan, when you put it in the square pan, you're going to put oil on top of this, because this is going to be the top. The underside is going to be the bottom. So what I do is I sort of shake it a little. But you can take a little and just pat it down if you want to do that off the side, because it's never going to get that high. In fact, and this will form into a nice bowl. You know, it'll form into a nice round. It'll double its size. What I do is I cover it with saran wrap and I put it right in the refrigerator. It'll rise, no problem. People like to, I know people that would never do that. They would rise it out on the counter and then, but I have no problem with it rising the way I do it. I just find it's more convenient. And it really doesn't make a difference because it's going to rise. It's not as if it's not going to rise. So anyway, that's pretty much it. And what I'll do is I'll continue this tomorrow and I'll show you the rise and then the laying out in the sheet and the putting in the cheese and the sauce. Okay.